ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Midday Market Report for Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. Blessed and honored to have good friend and colleague, Mr. Beam 'em Up Scotty Webb, back into house live from Tampa to talk some MLB as we're well past the quarter pole. As I add up here, the Yankees have played 68 games already. The Orioles 65, Scotty's Rays 66, my Red Sox 66 as well. So in a race to 162, or as we say, a marathon, about 100 games, less than 100 games to go. And there's clearly, I got the standings up here, and I definitely want to talk to Scotty about this. There's clearly some teams that are really starting to try to figure out, okay, who we selling off. It's not our year. And as Scotty has said for a few weeks now, it looks like the playoffs literally is set up, unless some big teams falter or vice versa. But before we get into that, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, run on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. And take advantage of all the sports books that are available in your state. Scroll to the bottom, start downloading them. Take advantage of the match plays, the deposit plays that give you bonuses, promo codes, et cetera. And myself, Travis, Zach, the rest of this huge team will not just take care of you today, tomorrow, July, August, rest of 2024, 25, and far beyond. And if you want to join this team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com, and we will take care of the rest from there, as I have frozen, and I don't like that. Let me see if I bring Scotty up. Let's see what's going on here. We are frozen. We're back. Apologies. Modern day technology here. Blue screen effect. I mean, it's just Murphy's Law. So enough of my blah, blah, blah. Let's bring in Scotty Webb. Thank you all for staying and being patient here. What's up, sir?
Hey, I thought it was my weather issues going on down here in Florida, buddy.
You know, it never ends. We haven't been on for a while. And you know, here I'm sitting here, I got everything all set up. Saw you were backstage, and boom, presto, bang, intro, and then shaboom. Yeah, it's overcast here. But you had talked about some potential problems back there, but that was all me. I sent you a snapshot of the blue screen. We're here, we're back. What I want to do today, Scotty, is again 68 games over 162 games, less than 100 games. I'm going to bring up the standings, and we're going to walk through the divisions. We're going to talk about the playoff races, and then I want you, obviously, to talk to everyone. What's going on your end? You've added some new data. You're doing great, and kind of maybe break down a couple games today and stuff that you're seeing. But it's been a couple weeks since you and I have done a live show. So since our last show, what have you seen? What's going on out there?
Well, I think that one of the things that we all do when we break down a baseball game is we gravitate towards the starting pitcher. And obviously that's the right thing to start with. But I think that based off of when you look at how these teams hit, what their offenses look like, you can do yourself a big favor by being in a spot where you handicap how one team's offense is versus of another. And you can do that in one of two ways. And one of the greatest ways to do that is weighted runs created plus. So that takes into effect, the field and being in Colorado or being wherever, so stadium effects and all those kinds of things. But it's graded on a 100 scale. So if you have, say, let me pull mine up for a second. I can give you kind of an idea of what I'm talking about by why it's a big deal. So Atlanta plays Baltimore today, and the line right now is big for Fried. I think it's like minus 125, 130, something like that. But if I told you without knowing who the pitchers were, if I told you that Atlanta's offense over the last 7 days was 37% worse than an average offense, and the Baltimore Orioles offense was 44% better than an average offense, you certainly wouldn't want to be betting on the Atlanta Braves. And that's my point. My point is that these pitchers today are really good. So the differential is not necessarily the pitchers anymore because they're all good. It's the offense. And the offense goes in cycles of 7 days or so. They get hot and then they get cold. They get hot and then they get cold. So this is sort of a perfect spot here. And I get it. Like, okay, everybody goes, well, it's Alberto Suarez. Okay, well, let me give you this number for Alberto Suarez for just a second. So I talked about SOPS plus once, and basically what it is it's another form of how hitters do it pitchers. And it's graded on a 100 scale too, just like OPS is. And over the last 28 days, Fried is a 57. That's really good. So that means he's 43% better than an average pitcher. Oh, well, shit, but that means that Baltimore can't hit him. Well, Baltimore's offense is really good, so remember. But then you got to look at Alberto Suarez and go, well, he's a 68. Well, that's not very much difference. Those pitchers are really, really good pitchers, even if you never heard of them before. So my point is, I think things have changed to a little bit of a degree in a sense that starting pitching is one thing to really hone in on, what you should be, because that kind of sets up kind of what the lines look like. But the differentiation in whether a team wins the game or not, a lot of times these days, is whether the offenses are doing really good or whether they're not. And at this moment in time, Baltimore is in a spot where they're hitting the ball, and Atlanta's not. and you're going to throw good pitcher after good pitcher after good pitcher. So I think that a simple handicap is kind of looking at their offense. So that would be one thing I would tell you. The other thing I would tell you that I'm kind of looking forward to is I think this month, right before All-Star break here, is going to separate everybody. I think this is going to be the month that separates everybody, and then the teams that are on the fringe, they're going to try to do something to get back in the picture. So what does that look like? I don't know. What I'm talking about is teams like Texas, right? Texas is kind of meandering along 500-ish, a little bit below whatever they are. And, Max Scherzer's throwing a rehab starts right now. Tyler Mahley's getting ready to start throwing rehab starts. Jacob deGrom is throwing bullpens. So you add those three pitchers to that team who have been throwing guys like Urania out there, that changes the dynamic of who they are. A team like the San Francisco Giants, they got Robbie Ray getting ready to come off. Blake Snell's going to come back, and they probably will get Alex Cobb. So there's three starting pitchers in that team. Plus, they got tons of money. They can spend and trade and do all kinds of different things. The Yankees, they get Garrett Cole back probably next week. They play Baltimore, and I think that's when he's going to pitch. His first start will be in Baltimore. I don't know if it's in Baltimore. They're going to play Baltimore, and I think that's when he's going to pitch. And they're going to have a problem because Jason Dominguez is going to hit, and he's going to have to play in New York. So they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with that scenario. But like the Dodgers, the Dodgers have been struggling along, and their pitching hasn't been the best. But they're going to get Bobby Miller next week. He's coming back, and he's a stud. And Dustin May is throwing now, and he's throwing off a mound. So it's just a month before he's back. So they're going to get a couple guys coming back to finish off strong. I don't know what the Astros are going to do. They're in trouble. They got two guys that just went out for Tommy John, so they're not going to get them back. And then they're going to get Luis Garcia, though. He's going to come back, and Lance McCullers may pitch this year, so you're going to have a couple guys towards the end. And the Rays, I don't know what they're doing, but you got Shane Baz in AAA right now killing people. So Shane Baz is going to pitch, and so to me, I'm just kind of interested to see what teams identify themselves as going to go for it, and who they are, because there's teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, Jeff, that aren't out of it, and they got three pitchers now that can pitch, and if they add to that group, it's not to say that they couldn't be competitive to make a playoff run. They need some offense. So see what that looks like, or even the Reds. That the Reds get hot. Those divisions are wide open. Milwaukee's done really good, but they don't have any pitchers. They're all hurt. Gasser just got hurt. They're starting a rookie kid today. Joe Ross can't pitch anymore, and those guys are trouble. So it's interesting to see what will happen. And a team like the Cubs, can the Cubs go spend any money, or like they do anyway, and put something together? So I'm interested to see how all that plays out. But in terms of what I'm seeing is, I think one of the better ways to differentiate what's happening is offense, and pay attention, right? Because there is some dynamic there. Like the San Diego Padres, for example, they're the number 2 team in offense against right-handed pitchers. Do people know that? I don't know that people even know that. So when they play a right-handed pitcher, you want to support them. And they don't have any pitchers either. These teams are out there, and Darvish isn't pitching for them right now, and Musgrove is hurt, and they what do they do? These guys all need help. The Braves need help. So, the Phillies are just moving right along and doing it. The Dodgers will be there at the end. I think that's what it's going to look at, the Phillies Dodgers, unless some of these other teams jump in there and make some moves.
You know, it's funny because you're pulling our hair out since April. You know, when the season starts, it's cold, and there's some games it's snowing. We get all that part of it, and then you get into May, and I was venting to you, texting to you nightly, like, you know, they're not even putting these balls in plays. I'm talking about the you know, the unders going, you know, 14-1 a night. And I know it's launch angle, blah, blah, blah. We didn't hear about the dead ball effect. Well, I'm doing all my research. I'm reaching out to some sources, get the memo, keep an eye out on June 1st. And that Monday, I think was June 2nd or whatever, 10 homers in the first hour, another 5 in the second hour. 2 days later, I stopped counting at 30 homers. So now, you know, I know it's June and quote unquote the calendar, it's summertime or close, the warmer weather, the humidity, the balls tend to jump. But the comedy is the homers are now back up. Never heard that it was a dead ball or anything. We know the offenses have changed. We know the approach has changed, the analytics, the nerds, whatever we want to say. And when you're trying to break down how to handicap and play a game, you start with the starting pitching. And so for 2 months, I'm yelling at you, who the bleep is this Jeff Dawson guy? You know, he's going up against, I don't know, give me a stud, you know, give me whoever. And it's 0-0 after 5. You know, you try to get into these big favorites minus a hook in the first 5, and it's the no-name pitcher that is no hitting the minus 200 team. As you said, there was no advantage here in the pitching. It's like we got to reinvent the wheel. And I said to you, I bet you there's 20 plus no hitters through the first 5. I bet you there's way more than that. It's just amazing how these offenses have gone stagnant, and these pitchers that, and no discredit, I know pitching, I know that they're good, but these are also, you have to look at the other side. These are professional guys that 95, 96, they're okay. They can hit it. You know, I know today is Paul Skeens Day, and he's been phenomenal. You talked about the Pirates. Jones, Skeens, Keller, that's a pretty good 1, 2, 3 punch here. And some of these teams that are just shitting the bed, as I'm going to bring up the standings now, and we'll quickly go through the standings. I'm looking at the East right now. Actually, let me just do this. Let me just further this up here, because it's kind of comical, because we're going to go here. I'm going to go here. And now I'm going to go, bear with me here. I'm going to go here. Hold on, people. Bear with me.
It's fun to get new toys and figure out how to make the remote work.
Oh, my God. All right. So we look at the East, which we know is a tough division. Hats off, I was wrong on the Yankees. They lose Garrett Cole. We look at their lineup. Rizzo couldn't hit an extra base hit, standing on second on a tee right now. And you know, the fan graphs, hats off to them. Preseason 1 and 3, Judge and Soto best for hitting. Well, they're 1 and 2 right now, and the Yankees right now, 2.5 games lead over the Orioles, who I had, but this is what I didn't have on June 10th, right? June 11th is the Red Sox in third, 13 games back. The Blue Jays 2 games under 500, 14 games back, and your Rays 4 games under 500, 15 back. It's a wrap on the division. It's a 2-horse race, and the Red Sox, Jays, and Rays ought to get ready for 2025.
Yeah, I have my numbers are like, if I play them out for I have the Yankees at 98 wins. Not quite 100, but 98 wins, and I have Baltimore, it looks like 95.5, 96 wins. And then interestingly enough, I have Boston at 85.5 wins, and Toronto at 80. And I have the Rays at 76. So I don't have the Rays doing very well at all here, and I don't think that they've got a whole lot to play for, and I don't. The problem I don't think with the Rays is I don't think that they've got a lot to give to other teams to make them that much better either. So I don't know what the Rays are going to do. It's kind of interesting spot for them. They've done so well with so little, and this year it's kind of coming back on them a little bit. So I agree with kind of where all that is. I guess my thoughts are I don't know what Baltimore's thoughts are in their own head. Meaning, do they want to go secure bullpen pieces? Do they want to add another big arm, like Burns or whatever? Because I was trying to look at free agents and stuff coming up. I don't think Burns is signed past this year with Baltimore. So it's possible that they decide to go and bring in another bigger arm. They got plenty of toys to make trades if that's what they want to do. Santander's not going to be back with that team, and they need to make room in the outfield for players that they have in minor leagues. So Baltimore could be a team that shakes things up going in to the playoffs with bigger talent, with bigger arms, or bigger whatever their thoughts are. So I'm not sitting here saying that I think the Yankees are going to win the division yet, because I think Baltimore has a chance, and they're not very far away, and they won it last year, and they won 100 games last year, so they've been there, done that kind of thing. The Yankees are still trying to figure it out. They've had great success in pitching, and Luis Gil has been, he's been as good as anybody. So whether or not he can stay that way, I don't know. I mean, his stuff measures out pretty good, but I don't know if he can hold up for the rest of the season. Their bullpen's been pretty good, but if you really go back and look at who their bullpen pieces are, I don't trust those guys. So I would almost tend to tell you that I have a feeling that Baltimore catches the Yankees. I know they get Garrett Cole back. Not that that's a bad thing. That's going to help them. But they also need to have 7 guys through their lineup be offensively good, and they have 3. They have Volpe's been a lot better than I think people thought he was going to be, and Soto's been great for them, and then Judge woke up, and then all of a sudden those 3 guys carried those guys for a long time. Verdugo's been key at moments, and then they got outs, man. I'm telling you, the rest of the lineup is outs. So you can't say that about Baltimore. You go through Baltimore's lineup, and every time they come to bat, those guys can either hit a home run or do something special or whatever. And I think that puts them, in my mind, they're only 2.5 back, and look what the Yankees' record is. I mean, they've won almost 50 games already, and Baltimore's only 2 back. We'll see. I pulled this up earlier, Jeff, and I'll share this with you in a sense that, let me go back to it. I want to tell you what Baltimore's schedule is for June, the rest of the month. I think that you'll be very surprised if I can find it real quick. There they are, Orioles. And if my computer will go, there we go. Oh, my computer is dragging. There we go. Well, maybe. It is dragging today. But the Orioles are playing like they got the Yankees coming. They've got who else do they have? I'm trying to talk while I'm getting my computer going here. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. I want to see this. So they have coming up, the Orioles play schedule grid. There we go. Orioles, they play Atlanta, Philadelphia, the Yankees, the Astros, Cleveland, and Texas.
And your point?
my point is, how are they going to catch the Yankees playing that?
That's
so.
my point.
This month, I don't think they're going to get there. But if they still status quo, play the way they've been playing, they'll do fine. They'll handle that schedule. The Yankees got the Royals, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Braves, the Mets, and the Blue Jays, so not nearly as tough. So they probably won't catch them this month. But as they keep going, that rotates. That'll flip. And you'll see that the Yankees will start to have a tougher schedule. Baltimore will have an easier schedule. Baltimore might go out and say, oh, hey, we're at the end of June. All-Star break's coming. Let's get some guys in here. Let's do something, and let's make some stuff happen. But I was looking at that going, man, that's a pretty rough month.
I'm going to go down to the Central with, and I was looking at this before, just making some notes in my head here. The Guardians, who we both know have played well above their skis, 20 games over 500, a 4.5 game lead over the Royals, 8 over the Twins, 10.5 over the Tigers. White Sox, thanks for playing. But, 21-6 at home is impressive. But I think 21-14 is just as impressive on the road. And Ramirez just keeps doing it. No Tito. But if you look at their odds to win it all, Vegas isn't believing in them. So, again, it could be fool's gold. I don't know. I know the Royals have been a fun watch. Their offense is great. Maybe they make a couple minor moves to add some depth in the pitching. But they got, a lot of good pieces. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. Just keeps on raking there. The Twins, I was not as high on the Twins as you were. I got fooled with the banana in the tailpipe on the Tigers. I loved Cy Skubal. We got a ticket on him to win the American League Cy Young. They just have faltered at the wrong spots. Bullpen has not been good. Their starting pitching has not been good, and the White Sox just a train wreck.
Well, I think the Tigers, what's interesting about the Tigers is that, we talk about the Pirates and their big three, or a possibility of having a big three. The Tigers have one. I mean, you got Skubal that goes out there, Flaherty behind him, and then Olsen behind him. So those three guys are really good. But then after that, they got nothing. But they got nothing in the bullpen, and they got no offense. So they're in a division that's a little different than what the Pirates are, in a sense that the Guardians are playing way above what they should be playing at, and the Royals are trying to figure it out. So and then the Twins are in that division. So I think the Tigers are in one of those spots where, they are 2 or 3, probably 3 bats from being a good team. They're an average team, and I think that's probably what you're seeing. They're a 500-ish type team. My numbers have the Tigers to win 79 games. I think that's pretty close to being where they should be. What's interesting is I have the Guardians at 84 wins for the season. And then I have the Twins at 82.5, and I have the Royals at 82.5. Anything can happen within those numbers, and I think that when you start to think about what those things look like, schedules are going to be important. I think when I was looking at schedules for that, the Twins, Minnesota. So here's Minnesota's June. We just talked about what the Baltimore Orioles have to face. They're playing Colorado. They got 2 more games against them. Then they got 4 against Oakland. That's not too bad.
Well, hold on. Oakland, listen, 26-42, but they're not the 26-42 of the past of Oakland. They're pesky. Their pitching's been okay, and they kind of remind me of a couple years ago of the Orioles as they were building. I'm not comparing them to that team or those teams, but I hats off to Oakland right now, because I like what I see. They give you 9 innings every game. They don't just roll over and die like the White Sox.
No, I get that, but at the same time, I would rather be playing Oakland than the Yankees.
Oh yes, okay.
So I got So they play the Rockies. They play 4 against Oakland, 3 against Tampa Bay, 3 more against Oakland, 3 against Arizona, and finish with Seattle. So they don't play anybody any good until they get to Seattle for the whole month. So this is the month where Minnesota, they can make an impact on Cleveland's lead. And Cleveland plays Cincinnati, then they play Toronto, Seattle, Toronto, Baltimore, and the Royals. So it's not the easiest, but it's not the toughest. But I think Minnesota can make a run this part of this month, and I think that they can get up there and kind of iron things out. Because if you look at the lineup for lineup, I think Minnesota's lineup's better than Cleveland's. Now, where I think the difference is, I think that Cleveland's bullpen is the best in baseball. Once you take a lead, you're not going to get it back from them, and I think that as Cleveland goes, Ramirez has to be good, but Naylor's hit or miss. That kid Fry's been really good for them, and Kwan is a great leadoff guy, but at the same time, they've been that way most of the time anyway. But I think Minnesota's got a big upside here, and a lot of it has to do with Royce Lewis.
Well, you just stole my thunder, because Minnesota goes as far as Royce Lewis. Okay, like Baltimore, Gunnar Henderson. When they're at home, you get a 1-2-3. Gunnar Henderson leads off with a homer, or vice versa. We're on the road. Royce Lewis, the same thing for the Twins. He's the engine right there. And unfortunately, he has been injury prone. He's back again, a homer again last night. This team, when I say they go as far, Correa has been spotty, but he's hitting well. Okay, they have some pieces. They have some starting pitching. But my point is, they go as far as Royce Lewis staying on the damn field.
Oh yeah, but if you match them up to Cleveland's starting pitchers aren't as good as Minnesota's starting pitchers, and the starting 9 isn't as good as Minnesota's starting 9. But I'll put Cleveland's bullpen against anybody, absolutely 100% anybody. So I think that's the difference, and I think over 100 games to go, I think Minnesota will find a way to get back there. And I think the Royals problem is they're young on offense, and pitching wise, they're just decent, not great. I mean, even if you look at Cole Ragans, who they want to put out there as their ace, and he's really good, but he doesn't have that killer instinct yet, I don't think, to be that guy that when he's matched up against, like he was matched up against Kirby the other day. He couldn't beat him. He didn't lose the game but at the same time, you don't want to be that pitcher that goes out in the first batter you face, JP Crawford, and give up the home run and be behind 1-0 the whole time. And then you get taken out of the game, and then your team scores the 1 run to tie the game, and then you lose in extra innings or whatever. But my point being is, Ragans has had a couple of those spots where he's been against Skubal, and he's been against these guys and he can't beat them. So that's kind of a difference maker where your best can't beat their best. That's a problem. And then guys like Lugo, he's only going to be good for so long before the other shoe falls. The Yankees they didn't beat him up last night, but they didn't hit any home runs and they still won the game. They play Singer tonight, and Singer gives up hit after hit after hit. So if he keeps the ball in the yard, that'll be great. But we'll see. They gave Judge a rest. Stanton rested yesterday. And they still won. So today, those guys will probably come out and both hit 2 home runs or something.
We'll go to the West here, and you've been talking schedules and stuff. The Mariners, 8 games up. You look at their splits, plus 11 games at home, -3 on the road. You look at the Rangers, 3 games under 500, 5.5 back, 1 game under 500 at home, but 2 games under on the road. Astros, everyone's preseason pick other than the Mariners and some Rangers there. 7 games under 500. 1 game under 500 at home. And don't forget, they started the year atrocious at home. They're picking it up. Their offense is picking it up. 6 games under on the road. And then you got the Angels 15 games under 500 and the A's 16. Gil Alexander, I've mentioned this numerous times on the show. I'm going to lead in with you on this one. At the Circa, most wins in the month of June. And he broke down every team. Some teams, I think one team at Baltimore was 29 games. They have 1 day off this month. And he got all the way to the Astros at 25-1 at Caesars, 17-1 at Circa, and pull up the Astro schedule. Again, I know they're lacking pitching. I know they're starting to hit the crap out of the ball. Why don't you read the Astros schedule for the month of June?
They play, obviously, they got 2 games with the Giants left. Then they play 3 against the Tigers, 3 against the White Sox. But then they got 3 against the Orioles, 2 against the Rockies, and 3 against the Mets.
So, again, they were, I think they had 24 games in the month of June. They were, how should I say this correctly? When you just want the most wins, when teams got 29, 28, 27, and 26, and you got 24 or 25, whatever it is, you're handicapped. But if you tie a team with more games, obviously your win percentage is going to be better than others. So as I'm saying, outside looking in, 7.5 back. The cream tends to rise to the top. We know the Rangers won it all last year. We know they got some arms coming. But again, for the month of June, I would say keep an eye on the Astros to get that record at least back to 500, if not above, and start to make a push as we get closer to the All-Star break.
Well, I'm expecting that. I sort of expected that the last couple of weeks here, and they're playing better. This kid that pitched last night, Arrighetti, is a perfect example of what I try to tell people all the time. The old school guys like to take data and numbers, and they want to use 2-year, 3-year histories on these guys, and that's what they want to handicap off of, or full season type data and stuff. But you can't do that because you missed your opportunities. So Arrighetti, his first 5 starts, he was like 1-4 with a 6 earned run average or something, getting killed. Well, his last 5 starts, he's 3-1 and like a 3.0 earned run average. And of course, I don't use earned run average, but he's really, really good. So he gave 1 mistake last night, and a guy hit a triple, which drove it, and then he took him out, and then the next guy got a hit, and he gave up 1 run last night to the Giants. So Arrighetti can pitch. So, but the problem the only problem I have with the Astros at this moment in time, and I didn't think I was going to have this problem, is if you can't go close out games, you whatever win total you're trying to get to, you're not going to make it. They blew last night's game. They won that. They were in overtime. Jesus. And they were in extra innings. They scored 2 runs in the top of their half. So it's 3-1, and they couldn't hold it. And the night before, they gave up, I think it was Hader gave up a home run and couldn't hold it. So, if your bullpen can't hold it, then I don't, that might. Doesn't matter who starts, if they do that good, and then there's going to be close 1-run games. I think I have this too. Standings. If you look at standings, I thought it was interesting. I think it's over here. 1-run games. The Houston Astros have played 19 1-run games. They are 5-14. So to make a run, you got to reverse that right away. So once that starts to happen, I think that's when you can start to really count on the Astros. Now, my rankings and my numbers tell me the Astros are going to win the West. My numbers are Hit the right button. I've got the Astros at 87 wins, Seattle at 85 wins, and Texas at 84 wins. So theoretically, still anything can happen with those three teams, and if they make moves and do different things. And my thought is that of those three teams, Texas is in best position with Scherzer, Maile, and DeGrom possibly all coming back to make an impact in July or forward.
No, I agree. And if you look at those numbers there, again, the Astros almost in a, I don't want to say must play every day, but again, if you got them at 87 wins, that means they're going to go 57. And let me see, they're at what, 67. That's 100. That's 95. So they're going to go 57 and 38 to end the season, which again is plus 19 in the win column. Now, again, you got to take the odds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I am definitely looking for a push from them there. The National League, we can go over that. I mean, again, like the American League East, it's kind of funny. A few years ago, it was the Phillies, it was the Nationals under 500 making those pushes in late May and June to flip it. Now, due to injuries, no Strider, no Acuna, the Braves are right now 9 games back. The Phillies, 25 games over 500, 17 in the plus column at home. And again, I was always taught this way back, Scotty. How do you win divisions? How do you make the playoffs? Well, you go 20 games over 500 at home and you go 500 on the road. Plus 20 at the end of the year is going to get you into the playoffs. That was before the addition of the extra playoff spots. Now you got a team already like the Phillies with, horses up front and offense that won't stop. Their defense has always been the sketchy thing, and their bullpen just seems to get better and better each year. 9 games up. The Nationals, 5 games under 500, 15 back. The Mets, I talked about it on our last show. I'll talk about it again. Yes, Diaz on the DL. Yes, Alonso playing out his last year, a dumpster fire. And the Marlins it already sold a month ago. I feel bad for the Marlin fans here. But my question to you, again, the Yankees in dire need of a first baseman. There's no way in holy hell that they would trade Alonso to the Yankees there for a rental. But my point is, Alonso, Diaz, a lot of pieces. I don't think anyone would pick up Lindor, looking for that fire sale. But, I mean, do you believe, what do your numbers say in the Braves? Obviously, we assume they're not going to catch the Phillies. But what do your numbers say on the Braves?
So I've got the Phillies at 96 wins, and I've got the Braves at 86 wins. So the Braves need a ton of help. They don't have enough pitching to get, even if they made the playoffs. They're going to get wiped out in the playoffs. Sale and Fried are good, but at the same time that you say that, they got to be on. Well, any pitcher's got to be on, but it's like today. My opinion is Baltimore's the right choice to bet on tonight against the Braves, and that's with Alberto Suarez pitching for the Orioles. So think about if you're the Braves and you're in a playoff game and you need to win and you throw Max Fried out there, it's not that Max Fried's a bad pitcher, but Max Fried's not a 97, 98 mile an hour guy's going to blow everybody away. He's got to put the ball where he's got to put it to get the outs. And if the other team's hitting and your team's not, you're in trouble. So that's kind of where the Braves are. Their bullpen's been probably a little better than what most people think. They've been holding the games in for them. Iglesias as a closer has been pretty good for them, kind of a surprisingly thing. But I think I've got the Mets-ish at 500-ish for the season, but I'm not sure that's really right because I think the Mets are going to sell, and I think they'll give up the GOAT at the end. So I think we talked about this before one day. Excuse me. Alonso and Diaz would be great fits for the Giants. And if you put those two guys on the Giants, and then you get Robbie Ray, and you get Alex Cobb, and you get Blake Snell, holy crap, you got a whole brand new team over there.
Don't forget Logan Webb.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he's still there. But I'm just talking to new additions. These are like new additions to come on to a team that's young and talented. That have they found their some stuff there. So just food for thought. So I think they're a seller at Miami, like you talked about. I think they're already sold, and plus all their good pitchers are hurt. So they Alcantara can't pitch right now, and the kid can't pitch. Yuri or whatever his name is, he can't pitch because they broke their arms. And then the Nationals are a team that positionally wise could end up third in this division, and I don't think they're going to be 500. But it was interesting to see that their reporters are reporting that they're starting to skip Patrick Corbin starts, and they want to not have Joey Gallo play so much. So that tends for me to believe that this is a team that wants to not necessarily step on the gas, but at least make a better effort. And I think it's interesting that they got rid of Robles, right? Victor Robles or whatever, the outfielder that they've had for forever that they thought was going to be great, but he couldn't hit. So they got rid of him. So that tends for me to believe that if you're going to get rid of him, you can get rid of any of these guys. And I think that I'm surprised at some of these things. Like I have a hard time with the game today. They play Detroit today, and your favorite pitcher pitches for Detroit today, and my numbers tell me you got to bet on Detroit. So I sit here and go, holy shit! I'm supposed to bet on Maeda today against the the Nationals, and stuff. And I go, okay, let me just digest this for a little while. But the point being though is the Nationals are, I think, closer to 500 at the end than the Mets are.
No, I agree. Go to the Central. Again, we got it late. The Brewers team total over. Again, overachievement, kind of like the Guardians, but not as good in regards to, the win-loss percentage. I think they could be caught, and you look, the Reds 7 games back, the Cubs 7 games back, the Cardinals 7 games back, and the Pirates. The Pirates remind me of the Reds of last year, where they were sitting exactly where the Pirates were. Everyone thought it was a good value play on the Reds. Well, I like the Reds youth movement. I like De La Cruz. I like where they're going. The Cubs, I think everyone were overvaluing because of last year. And here's this damn Cardinals team just hanging around. And this is the one. If you told me, you sent me $100 to bet on the on the Cardinals, I'd send you 200 back because the numbers don't make sense to me. Whether they're going to make a couple moves, the Arenado and Goldschmidt moves is done. It's over with. Goldie's shown a few flashes. Gorman's been hotter than a firecracker. But the Pirates, again, Keller, Skeens, Jones, that's where all the excitement is here. But why do my eyes fixated that for some reason I'll be interested in your numbers? Why are the Cardinals sticking out to me like they're all of a sudden going to catch fire?
Well, my numbers on the Cardinals, just so I can get them out there to you. So I got the Cardinals at 80 wins. And I got the Cubs at 81 wins. And I got the Reds at 80 wins. And I got the Pirates at 75 wins and the Brewers at 87 wins.
Okay.
So all of that can change. And what I mean by change is additions, subtractions, and that kind of stuff. But teams getting hot. If the Reds get hot, that'll change all of that, because I think the Reds, momentum wise, can really do damage in that division. They're not that far behind. But here's here's my thoughts on the Cardinals, right? The Cardinals, every time I do my data, I do the data every day and I look at all these numbers every day. The Cardinals are average at everything. They're average in the bullpen. They're average on offense. They're average starting pitcher. They don't have any area, not one area where they're better than average. So what does that tell? They're going to be a 500 team. I don't see any way where they can't not be that. Now, obviously, their biggest issue is their best pitcher is Sonny Gray. And I just talked about how the guy in Kansas City can't match up. Well, Sonny Gray doesn't match up to other guys' best pitchers either. When he has to pitch against an ace, he loses. When he has to pitch against the number 2, he wins. So that's kind of the deal with Sonny Gray. Where I think that this division is wide open is the Brewers, and I would have never told you this at the beginning of the season. The Brewers have the best offense of all of them. That they can hit. From 1 through 9, those guys hit, and it's amazing that catcher Contreras for them right now is unbelievable, and how many RBIs he gets. Yelich is playing very well. Terang's over 300 and stealing bases. Hoskins, who's kind of one of the guys that they wanted to do well, is not doing well, but has over 10 home runs. Perkins is a guy who's hitting out of that lineup. And Ortiz, the guy that is they brought in from Baltimore, they just now started starting him. He's batting almost 300. So that team is hitting. And I didn't even talk about Adames.
That's where I was going. I'm like, you're leaving the best for last with Adames.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like the team can hit. But here's my concern. I pulled it up because I wanted to make sure I did this right. So right now on roster resource, the starting pitchers listed for the Milwaukee Brewers are Freddie Peralta, number 1. We all agree Freddie Peralta is a good pitcher. I don't know if if he pitched for Baltimore, he wouldn't be their number 1, right? He'd be behind Corbin Burns. If he pitched for the Yankees, he wouldn't be a number 1. If he pitched for the Red Sox, he wouldn't be a number 1. So my opinion is Freddie Peralta is a very good pitcher. He's not a number 1. He's a number 2. So I think he's a great pitcher, but a number 2 pitcher. And then you have Bryce Wilson. Now, Bryce Wilson had a good start to the season, but Jeff, he's like a 6 or 7, and I don't even use this term number, but earned run average over his last 5, 6, 7 appearances. They won't even let him start games hardly anymore. They let a relief pitcher go, and then he's the bulk guy. And then Colin Ray, your favorite, right?
Oh.
So Colin Ray, and then Tobias Myers. They don't have a 5th guy listed because Gasser, the guy that was the 5th guy, is hurt. He's going to get something done with his shoulder. He's not going to pitch again this year. So they got a rookie guy going to start today. Then he's going to get shelled. So I sit here and I go, they don't even have enough pitching to get anywhere where they need to go. So they got a lead. I don't know how long they can keep it. So somebody, I think, can catch them. It's a matter of who wants to.
Well, and you think the Cardinals, how would they look right now with Blackjack Flaherty and Jordan Hicks on the starting mound?
Well, I mean, compared to what they're throwing out there with Lance Lynn and
Polenta.
And Polenta and Gibson and those guys, are you kidding me?
Okay, out west, Dodgers 7.5 games up on the Padres, 8 on the Giants, Diamondbacks 9.5 back, Rockies again. Thanks for playing. We know the Dodgers aren't going anywhere. They're going to, again, Walker Buehler came back, has looked good early, has not looked good of late. Yamamoto, listen, their staff, whether it's May, as you said, Miller. Do they get anything out of Kershaw? And of course, offensively, 1, 2, 3, the best 1, 2, 3 in the game. Add Muncy at 4. It's going to be the same old story in October. Is the top 3 going to be productive enough and be getting on base where you can lengthen that lineup where you're going to need some production in the back end here? And the Padres offensively, a blast to watch. Again, doing this without Xander. The addition of Arias is the best move they ever made. Tatis is being Tatis. Get Bogarts back at some point. That lineup gets longer. Again, they lack the starting pitching. And my eyes are fixated, and I think this is the team, is the Giants. And maybe I'm fixated on them, again, because I got Diaz on the brain. I got Alonso on the brain. Well, if they got a checkbook, they can make that happen. You add those two. I'm not saying they're going to catch the Dodgers. They will make the playoffs, and they will be a pain in the ass come playoff time.
Yeah, I don't think the Dodgers have any worries, right? I mean, I think if you go back through your list there, I think they're the second largest lead of all of them. I think the Phillies might have the biggest lead, and then the Dodgers. And what I think is interesting in the West is how the National League team that was in the World Series last year, the Diamondbacks, have been a disappointment this year. And, I saw reports out there they're trying to get rid of Eugenio Suarez. Well, who the hell wants him? Nobody wants him. He's a strikeout machine, and he plays pretty good defense, but, he's not hitting 40 home runs, and he strikes out all the time. So nobody wants that guy. So I think you can take the Diamondbacks, obviously the Rockies, and you can go, okay, well, nobody cares about that. So then you got to look at, where do the Padres and the Giants fit into this? Well, my opinion is that my numbers are showing that I have an interesting dilemma with the Giants. So you and I have been talking about how the Giants, I think, are the team that can do a lot of things, but they have to do them. If they don't do them, I don't think they're going to get where they need to go or where we want them to go, right? If you bet them now to get value on them, I think it's a good move. I think there's a reason for that. They have pitching coming. I talked about Robbie Ray coming. I talked about Alex Cobb. They got Blake Snell. They'll get him fixed at some point. So they're gonna be able to compete on a regular basis on the mound. Their offense is pretty good right now. They got Ramos doing really well. They got the catcher doing great. Can't remember these guys' names off the top of my head. They got a great shortstop, Wisely, right now, who's doing really good. So I've been really impressed with how they have taken a team and kind of shuffled internally and now turned it around where Flores doesn't play all the time. And Slater doesn't play all the time. Those guys are killing that team. And now they don't have them in the lineup, and the Giants are doing really, really well offensively. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean they're as good as the Padres yet. So that's where my concern runs into, because I still have the Padres being the team that is going to beat the Giants. But that can change in a sense of how soon can the Giants do some things to get that number up. I think if you're the general manager of the Giants, you guys sit there and go, we're not going to catch the Dodgers. Who do we have to beat to make the playoffs? And if you have to think about who do you have to beat to make the playoffs, are you going to beat the Braves? I don't really think you're necessarily going to go out there and beat the Braves. So I think playoff wise, you go and say, okay, Braves at 87 wins, kind of in. And then you're going to go and say, okay, San Diego, 87 wins, they're kind of in. All right, so we're going to be the last team in. So who are we competing against? Well, you're competing against teams like the Cubs and the Cardinals and the Reds. And those are the teams you're competing against. And how long do you wait before you put your foot on the gas to beat those teams at the punch? Because if those teams beat you to the punch, they're going to beat you out. That's my only concern about the Giants.
We're already an hour in. We had a lot of people watching live. You talked about that game, that Baltimore and Braves game, and again, the number looks off to me. I know it's Suarez versus Fried, but at this point, the Braves shouldn't be minus 125 over Baltimore at home. If you had to break down one more game today for everyone watching a free play or something, where your eyes at today on your work?
Well, some of this stuff, let me flip to a different screen here so I can pull this up a different way. There we go. So some of this stuff is interesting to me. One of the trends, and I should have brought this up when you asked me what am I seeing lately, is, there's been a lot of new pitchers this year been called up. And think about it. Just think about it. How many of those pitchers have actually done well in their first starts or second starts or even third starts? Not many. Unless you're a highly touted Paul Skeens kind of guy coming up, you haven't done well. Gasser did well, but everybody else is kind of one of those guys that come out and they don't do so well. So, one of the favorite things to do is to look at these bad teams and go, why are they so bad? Well, two things, like the White Sox. The White Sox can't hit, and the White Sox bullpen is like atrocious. So you got a team that can't hit, and they got a team that is atrocious. Every once in a while, they'll get good performances from Fetty, which they got yesterday. They still lost, giving up 8 runs because the bullpen gave up a whole bunch of runs. And then you have a team like Seattle who's throwing Brian Wu. Well, Brian Wu's thrown 6 times this year because, he's got hurt and then came off the disabled list. It's done pretty well. But he's only had 1 start that was a game score average. Everything else has been like an ace. That guy is holding teams to an SOPS plus of 3. I'm not seeing that. Of course, it's shorter time frame, but if you're 97% better than another pitcher, that means that means the team that you're facing is going to have a tough time scoring. So what I was looking at here is the White Sox have Drew Thorpe coming up. Drew Thorpe's going to pitch today. You can play Seattle minus 1.5 on the run line at minus 105. And my opinion is don't mess with the first 5 innings anymore. Just take the full minus 1.5. You're going to do much better because the first 5 innings, you get these guys that can go out there and they can pitch, and then if they're on, you're in trouble. But where you're betting is you're getting the added bonus that so Seattle's a much better team than the White Sox. We all agree that they're a division leader right now. They're a much better team. So we want them to have as many at-bats as they can possibly get. They're at home. It doesn't matter if they get 8 or 9. It doesn't matter. What matters is how many at-bats do they get against the bullpen. And if they can get 4 at-bats against the bullpen, they can add their lead by 2 runs against that bullpen. So I think that's how you look at the run line right now is you go, okay, well, maybe the starting pitchers are a draw. In this case, I don't think it's a draw. I think that the better pitcher is going to be with Seattle. But I also think that say you find one that you think is a draw and it comes out first 5 innings, it's 1-1. Okay, well, I still have 3 at-bats or 4 at-bats to get 2 runs. What does the bullpen look like? Well, the White Sox bullpen is number 30 out of number 30, and they give up, run after run after run after run. So when you sit there and you think about it, you go, we can score 2 runs against the bullpen. And it's a matter of, do we get 4 at-bats or 3 at-bats, or do we get enough shots to get our runs? And I think that even if you have a 1-run edge, right, now you only need 1 run in 4 at-bats or 3 at-bats. And I think the 1.5 run line is probably as good a play as I've ever seen it be this season comparative to any other season, because the earlier part of the game, you all you have to do is kind of win it and then add 1 and then you got it. And the bullpens are kind of that way these days and if you have the right offense, and when I looked at this number today, the offense for Seattle 13% right now above an average offense. And when I looked at the bullpen for the White Sox, they've pitched 43 innings in the last 14 days, given up 72 hits and 5 home runs with 25 walks. They're going to get killed. So you give up that many hits. It's not a good scene. So I like that in a sense that it makes sense to start looking more at run line plays. And Jeff, you and I used to go back and tell everybody, don't play run lines on the favorite at home. I don't do that anymore. I play more run lines at home and win those bets. And it's because everything has shifted to the pitching is kind of what it is. The differentiation is offense, and you're betting on offenses to be 2 runs better than the other team. And theoretically, if you come out the first 5 innings or when the starters come out and you're ahead by 1, you won. And there's a good chance if you're betting the better offense, you're going to get 1 out of that bullpen that you're going to face.
Well, we got to make sure we don't take two weeks off in between our next show. Try to get you back on this week, later at the end of the week, and then we'll get back into a routine. And potentially, I won't have the breaking news, but potentially the fans out here watching, and there's been a lot today, might be seeing you more often than not on these channels. Obviously, can go on to Twitter at Webby20MLB, but tell everyone where to find your written work and where they can go find your website. And for literally pennies on the dollar, get the rest of the season of the MLB and playoffs.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things, right? One, if you go to my website, it's MLB-daily.com. There's a link there. You can click the link, and you can sign up for free to get the an email. And anytime I write an article or do whatever, that email will come to you. I just wrote an article on WPA, which we didn't even talk about today. But winning probability added, it's awesome. So a whole different, we could talk about that for an hour. So we won't talk about that. But if you want to get information like that on a regular basis, just sign up for free. Every time I write something, it'll come out that way. And what Jeff was talking about is, you can get, I bet every day, and I put them in my service, and I show my numbers every day. So I make my own lines. That's all in there. Webby odds, Webby EV plus tool, the pitching reports, the offense reports. I even copy and paste weather reports in there. Whatever you need to make your judgments, to help you with making your own picks, you can do that too. But I end the day with putting in my plays that I make, that I bet personally. And if you want to follow those, you can. But that's $100, and that's every day for the rest of the year, baseball season wise anyway. Because I do football, but I mean for baseball, it'll be the rest of the season. It's $100. And if you're $100 better, you just win 1 unit. You got your money out of that. So it's not like I'm asking you for anything. It just helps keep the website going. It helps do other things, and helps a lot. So anyway, you can follow me on Twitter. One of the things that I sit here sometimes and look at, and interesting to find out is, how much do these shows really help people, and they don't help people. And, Jeff's been really cool, and we go back a long time, and I've gotten actual people to reach out and then sign up because they saw me on the show, or they've done this or that or whatever. But it would be great, to have more followers, to have more people, invest in the time that, we put in forward to try to help you, because ultimately this is a lot of work. My wife texted me earlier today, and she goes, how long does it take you to do a game? And I said, I don't know. I do them all at once. I have to input a lot of data. So I don't start I start the night before at 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30. I'm usually done by 11:30. So we'll just say 3 hours that night. And then the next morning, I start at, say, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning because I got to wait for data to update. And I'm usually done by 10:30. So that's 2.5 hours one night, three. It's 5.5 hours to do these games. 5.5 hours of the analytical work that I do every day. And I get it. I'm trying to share that with people. And I a lot of times am shocked because even me today, I clicked a link and Doc Sports has this thing where they say, oh, look, you get free services and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know who these people are that well. Let me click the link. If I can learn stuff from people, I adopt those things and put it into what I do. That's how I got the 1.5 numbers, that I wasn't afraid of them anymore, because I learned that that's what you have to do today. It's different than what I was doing before. Everything evolves and changes, and you don't know where to go to do that if you don't have the input. So I'm trying to provide input to people so that they can help. And certainly it would be a wonderful thing to get some feedback and to get some following and to also make a little bit of money off of that.
Go follow Scotty at Webby20MLB on the Twitter, or X as we call it nowadays. I'm still going to call it Twitter. Again, pennies on the dollar. If you can't find any change, go into your couch, go into the seat of your car. It's there. It's well worth the price of admission all the way through the rest of MLB this year and the playoffs. You couldn't have a better investment. Don't get fooled again, as the Who once sang, from all those crooks and scams and everyone on social media. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Scotty Webb. Around 5 o'clock tonight, myself and Riley Magnuson will be back for the closing bell. We'll get you up to speed on what the market is saying to get you to that window of MLB tonight. Rest assured, it's a busy, busy week here at ECSI. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., Brady Kannon will break down the U.S. Open. Thursday, Julian Edlow will be back from DraftKings to talk about Game 3. And are the Celtics up 3-0, or do we have a series at 2-1? And time change, 2:30 Thursday, not Friday, 2:30 Thursday. Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills, I'll be live at Omaha. Yep, that's right. No Peyton Manning, but we'll be live in Omaha for the final 8 in the College World Series. So see you guys soon. Have some fun, and we'll see you soon.